Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Anyway, I just should. Devi Shri Shashtunam Shri Krishna Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhatta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome to our lecture titled Kartik Masa Mahatmya, Glories of Kartik Masa. Tomorrow is Sharad Purnima. So it's the day when Krishna enacted Rasaya, the Rasa Leela. The auspicious day. So the full moon is auspicious. So if you follow the lunar calendar, the month is changing. So the next month is called Kartik. This Kartik Mas is very dear to Krishna. Every month of the lunar calendar has a presiding deity, which is the same order as the Tilak. Who's starting? Madhav is first. No, Keshav is when you put Tilak. Madhav is the first, starting from Chaitra. So the same order. And if you go like that, you come to Damodara. So like that, you know, Damodara, you put Tilak. So Kartik Mas, the presiding deity is Damodara. Damodara form of Krishna. So this particular month of Kartik, one meditates and worships Damodar form of Krishna. So it's also known as Damodara Masa, Damodar month, especially in Gaudiya Sampradaya, they call it Damodara Masa. So generally speaking, anytime we do devotional service, it's very auspicious. It's auspicious for the person, that place, anyone hearing it about it. This person distributed so many books, or he's preaching so nicely. Just to hear that is auspicious. Auspicious for that person, and auspicious for whoever is involved. And so the place, it's just so much Shubhada. It's giving auspiciousness, devotional service. Even here, if we do bhakti, if anyone performs bhakti, then the place remains auspicious and pure. And later, someone will come and sit here, he'll get that benefit. That's how when you enter a temple, you get benefit. Because bhakti doesn't leave the ether to remain, that spiritual energy. So, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, book written by Rupa Goswami on the science of bhakti. So, that book is based on Hari Bhakti Vilas, which is written by Sanatana Goswami. But in this book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is Prabhupada rendered into Nectar of Devotion in English, summary study, not the whole book. So there it's given about benefits of bhakti, the results of bhakti. So in the original Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, they quote a verse. So that verse is giving 6 benefits. So Prabhupada lists them in our Nectar of Devotion, page 1, which one famous sannyasi in ISKCON said. When he joined the movement after reading page 1 of this book, then he joined. He was convinced. So there it's given, what are the 6 effects of bhakti? Pure devotional service brings immediate relief from all kind of material distress. Anartha Upashanam Sakshat Bhakti Yoga Madhukshate Lokasya Jan. Anartha Upashamam Sakshat, that suffering, all kind of negative, dirty things in the heart, they are destroyed by bhakti, by devotional service. So that is the relief given. from material distress by bhakti. That's number one. Number two, it is the beginning of all auspiciousness. Shubha, Shubhadha, Da means giving. Shubhada. So bhakti is such, it gives auspiciousness to the, I said, to the person, the place. Whole universe is purified. Prabhupada said 1% devotees will purify the world. That's it. Just make 1%. So it's enough. And also, when devotees are there, then nature doesn't, fully Kali Yuga is not there coming. And, a tsunami had to come, earthquake, and devotees are there. For them. And others are getting there. So it's auspicious. Number three, pure devotional service automatically puts one in transcendental pleasure. The proof is, Prabhupada will quote many times, that we'd hold Rath Yatra and 3-4 hours people are singing non-stop. He said no one can do that, even if you pay someone. No one can go 3 hours. But how are they doing it? Because transcendental pleasure is evoked by bhakti. Many people practicing bhakti for years and years and going on, and others are wondering why you're living boring life. You're not watching movies, you're not going out, you're not doing anything. He's experiencing a greater pleasure. Otherwise, why is he not doing that? Okay, number 4, pure devotional service is rarely achieved. It's very rare. It's rare because how many living entities are in this material world? Out of them, how many are in a human species? We are very few. Look, in this room, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now, how many jivas are there in human bodies? Now count mosquito bodies. Then you count bacteria bodies. What else? So we are in big minority. We are minority in this creation. We are very few. So the jivas in this form are very less. So now when we say bhakti is very rarely achieved, first of all, only humans will get bhakti. Generally, sometimes elephants. So it's very rarely achieved. Okay, why? Because only humans will take it. There's so few humans. But even out of humans, how many can actually have that state of mind to come and sit in a class and hear? And then out of that, I mean, you come to a very small number. Bhakti is very rare. Prabhupada said, Krishna says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kashchit yatati siddhaye. Out of thousands and thousands, hardly anyone will think to endeavor for perfection. Kashchit yatati siddhaye. Even those who start to endeavor and attain perfection, Krishna says, hardly anyone will know me. It's very rare. Devotees of Krishna, very rare. So rarely achieved. Number 5, those in pure devotional service derive even the conception of liberation. That means when we come to bhakti, the benefits are much higher than moksha. But the jnanis, the impersonalists, want to merge into Brahmajyoti. The level of their happiness, knowledge, and whatever they get is much less compared to devotees. A pure devotee will get Ashta Siddhi, what the yogis get, what the jnanis get, what everyone gets, they get. Devotee will get. Now I'm using this for devotee. You can say we're all devotees. We're devotees. Yeah, devotee in one way, but in another way, devotee means pure devotee. So in that way, they will have. So it derives conception of liberty. Moksha laghuta krit. That is the Sanskrit verse. That it makes liberation look like nothing. Liberation are these people who want to escape the material world and stop material cycle of birth and death, but they don't know what Vaikuntha. So they'll simply go and merge into some light. So that is nothing compared to bhakti. And bhakti, we're not talking about when you die and you go here. No, right now and here. This material body and practicing bhakti, and what is the result? So it's much great, very great level of knowledge, happiness, and the position that we get is in free from modes of nature. And Krishna, we become dear to Krishna, God. So number 6, effects of bhakti. Pure devotional service is the only means to attract Krishna. How to attract Krishna through bhakti? There's a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Brahma prays, Jita Jito Vite Trilokyam, Gyane Prayasya Vipasarvateva, Sanmukha Kavita Bhavadiya Bharata Sthane Sthita Shubhikatam Tanuban Chitta Jito Apite Trilokya. So Lord Brahma saying that one who the person with the sun, Sthane Sthita Shrutigatam Tanuban Manobi, who hears about you, he remains in his position simply and hears more about you, Krishna. What is the result? He's saying Jita Jito Apite. You then they conquer you who are unconquerable. Jita Ajita Apite Strilo. Krishna is unconquerable. But when we begin devotional service, he wants to come and serve, like he served Arjuna. He wants to serve, he wants to, take care of his devotee. So it's the only means to attract Krishna. Krishna cannot be attracted, cannot be conquered. But by his pure devotee, he comes. So this is bhakti. Supermost position of the jiva is that when he attains bhakti, even endeavoring for it, becomes very dear to Krishna, to the demigod, and therefore to everyone at this creation. This is true anytime. But in the month of Damodara, which is coming now, whatever we said is much more. That the effect, the benefit is much higher because this month is very dear to Krishna. So in this month, if anyone does any devotional service, then it's counted much more, a lot. There's a verse that comes in Padma Purana. Tasmad Vrata Trayam Hitan Mamativa Priyam Karam Magha Kartikayo Statvat Hey Vaikadashi Vratam Van Aspatinam Tulasi Masanam Kartika Patriya Ekadashi Tithi Nam Chakshetranam Dvarakam Ete Samsevanam Yastu Karoti Chachitendriya Same Valabhatam Yati Na Tatha Yajana Dibhi. Translation from Padma Purana, Uttarakhand 112.3. Of all the plants, sacred Tulsi is most dear to me, Krishna says. Of all the months, Kartik is the most dear of all. And of all places of pilgrimage, my beloved Dwarka is most dear. And of all days, Ekadashi is very dear to me. So, on Ekadashi, if we do bhakti, this is we make ourselves very dear to Krishna. In the month of Kartik, Damodar, now coming, again, we become very dear to Krishna and we do any devotional service. As another quote from Skanda Purana, as Satya Yuga is the best of all yugas, ages, as the Vedas are best among the scriptures, as Ganga is best of the rivers, so Kartik is the best of months, the most dear to Lord Krishna, most dear. Because this month is dear, any devotional service performed is a powerful effect. So Damodara Masa, in this month, we worship and meditate on the form of Damodara, Krishna's form of Damodara. Damodara is made of two words, Dama, Udara. Dama means rope, Udara means stomach. This is the form within the picture.
Yeah.
It's there? Okay. So, you see, Mother Yashoda in one Leela tried to tie Krishna. This is a big thing. Yogis, birth after birth, are trying to meditate on the Supreme and know his form, his quality. They cannot do it in machines trying to tie him the rope around his stomach. He's not so easily tied. Anyway, there's a Leela. We'll say about that. So this form of Damodar, in this month, is worshipped, where Yashoda Mata tries to bind Krishna with the rope. This form of Damodar is worshipped by offering a ghee lamp every day. And by singing a prayer, Damodara Shlaka, which is one of the prayers of this. And also vows are observed, different vows. And one may observe these vows wherever they are, but many people go to Vrindavan it's a time when people go to Vrindavan and there they perform, but waking up certain time, chanting certain mantras, certain number of rounds. So it's called Urja Vrat. Urja Vrat is given an act of devotion as an essential component of bhakti. For Gaudiya Vaishnavas, it's means important thing. Okay, so now in this month of Damodar, they meditate on this form of Lord Damodar or Krishna. This Leela when Yashoda was trying to bind him. So it comes in Krishna book chapter 9. This is in Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto. So it's written here. Shall we read the whole thing? So, okay, I'll put the essence. Okay, I'll read it again. Once upon a time, seeing that her maidservant was engaged in different household duties. How many people read Krishna book? You read. Seeing that her maidservant was engaged in different household duties, Mother Yashoda personally took charge of churning butter. And while she churned butter, she sang the childhood pastime of Krishna and enjoyed thinking of her son. Mother Yashoda used to compose songs to remember Krishna and his activities. So she'll compose poetic songs and sing those songs. That's very much a village. Before village tradition, they'll be, farming, doing something, they'll all be singing something, which only they will do. Generations will pass on. So she made songs about Krishna's pastime to remember him. And Krishna was further away and she was feeling separation. Krishna was not there, right there. So she just decided to meditate on his activities. The end of her sari was tightly wrapped while she churned. And on account of her intense love for her son, milk automatically dripped from her breast, which moved as she labored very hard, churning with 2 hands. The bangles and bracelets on her hands tinkled as they touched each other, and her earrings and breast shook. There were drops of perspiration on her face, and the flower garland which was on her head scattered here and there. Before this picturesque sight, Lord Krishna appeared as a child. He felt hungry, and to increase his mother's love, he wanted her to stop churning. He indicated that her first business was to let him suck her breast, then she could churn butter later. Mother Yashoda then took her son on the lap and pushed the nipple of her breast into his mouth. While Krishna was sucking the milk, she was smiling, enjoying the beauty of her child's face. Suddenly, the milk which was on the stove began to boil over. Just to stop the milk from spilling, Mother Yashoda at once put Krishna aside and went to the stove. Left in that state by his mother, Krishna became very angry. And his lips and eyes became red in rage. He pressed his teeth and lips, and taking up a piece of stone, he immediately broke the butter pot. He took butter out of it, and with false tears in his eyes, he began to eat the butter in a secluded place. In the meantime, Mother Yashoda returned to the churning place after setting the overflowing milk pan in order. She saw the broken pot in which the churning yogurt had been kept. Since she could not find her boy, she concluded that the broken pot was his work. She smiled as she thought, the child is very clever. After breaking the pot, he had left this place, fearing punishment. After she sought all over, she found her son sitting on a big wooden grinding mortar, which was kept upside down. He was sticking butter from a pot, which was hanging from the ceiling on a swing, and he was feeding it to the monkeys. She saw Krishna looking this way and that way in fear of her because he was conscious of his naughty behavior. After seeing her son so engaged, she very silently approached him from behind. Krishna, however, saw her coming toward him with a stick in her hand, and he immediately got down from the grinding mortar and began to flee in fear. Mother Yashoda chased him to all corners, trying to capture the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is never approached, even by meditations of great yogis. In other words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is never caught by the yogis and speculators, was playing just like a child for the pleasure of great devotee in the form of his mother, Yashoda. Mother Yashoda, however, could not easily catch the fast-running child because of her thin waist and heavy body. Still, she tried to follow him as fast as possible. Her hair loosened and flowers in her hair fell to the ground. Although she was tired, somehow she reached a naughty child and captured it. When he was caught, Krishna was almost on the point of crying. He smeared his hand over his eyes, which were anointed with black cosmetics. The child saw his mother's face while she stood over him, and his eyes became restless with fear. So this is not a drama. Actually, Krishna took that form, and the fear and everything is real. It's a costume. Mother Yashoda could understand that Krishna was unnecessarily afraid, and for his benefit, she wanted to allay his fears. Being the topmost relish of her child, Mother Yashoda thought, if this child is too fearful of me, I don't know what will happen to him. Mother Yashoda then threw away the stick. In order to punish him, she thought to bind his hands with some ropes. She did not know it, but it was actually impossible for her to bind the Supreme Personality of God. Mother Yashoda was thinking that Krishna was her tiny child. She did not know that the child had no limitation. How is it that she thought she didn't know Krishna is Supreme Personality of God? Because of love. Okay. Because of her love. There is one point. Because of Yoga Maya. You know that? Krishna has Mahatmya, which deludes those who want to go away from Krishna. Then he has Yoga Maya. Yoga Maya is Maya, which helps in his pastime. His devotees will be covered, forget he's God, so that they can, take part as his mother, father. The Leela can go on. That is called Yoga Maya. So Mother Yashoda did not know this is supreme. She's just thinking, this is my child, and he was very dear to her. She was taking care. She did not know that the child had no limitation. There is no inside or outside of him, no beginning or end. He is unlimited, all-pervading. Indeed, he is himself, the whole cosmic manifestation. Still, Mother Yashoda was thinking of Krishna as her child. Although he's beyond the reach of all senses, she endeavored to bind him to a wooden grinding mortar. But when she tried to bind him, she found that the rope she was using was too short by 2 inches. You can imagine what is 2 inches, okay? Alright. So now she gathered more rope from the house and added to it. 2 inches only missing. So she gathered more rope and added, but still she found it was still 2 inches short. In this way, she connected all the ropes available in the house. But when the final knot was added, she saw the rope was still 2 inches short. How big is 2 inches? She cannot connect it. Mother Yashoda was smiling, but she was astonished. How was it happening? In attempting to bind her son, she became tired. She was perspiring, and the garland on her head fell down. Then Lord Krishna appreciated the hard labor of his mother. And being compassionate upon her, he agreed to be bound up by the ropes. Krishna, playing as a human child in the house of Mother Yashoda, was performing his own selected pastimes. Of course, no one can control the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The pure devotee surrenders himself unto the lotus feet of the Lord, who may either protect or vanquish the devotee. But for his part, the devotee never forgets his own position of surrender. Similarly, the Lord also feels transcendental pleasure by submitting himself to the protection of the devotee. This was exemplified by Krishna's surrender unto his mother, Yashoda. Krishna is the supreme bestower of all kinds of liberation to his devotees. But the benediction which was bestowed upon Mother Yashoda was never experienced, even by Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva, or the goddess of fortune. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as the son of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, is never so completely known to the yogis and speculators, but is easily available to his devotees. Nor is he appreciated as the supreme reservoir of all pleasure by the yogis and speculators. Now, what is this point saying? It's saying that people worship God. Like He's supreme, He's so great. Okay, that's good. What about God? What does He like? No, He likes when instead of worshipping in that great Aishwarya Bhav, He likes that you say that I'll take care of Krishna as my child, or as a friend, I will deal with Krishna, or as a lover, Madhurya Bhav, Vatsanya, Sakhya, like that. This is more dear to Krishna. So that's what's here it's saying. So what happened? Yashoda could catch. She caught Krishna. Oh, how many people are trying to see God, to understand Him, to come, to see Him? They can't. And yet she caught him and bind him. We'll see. After binding her son, Mother Yashoda engaged herself in household affairs. So she bound him to the grinding water. Actually, this place is there in Vrindavan, where this Leela happened. Have you been? No. The place where this Leela happened is still there. In Vrindavan, we are going there. October 26. So that house, that place where this Leela happened, which is Gokul. So even the place where that Leela happened, 5,000 years ago. It's eternally. So Mother Yashoda bound Krishna. Many people could not come close to this being. She tied him in the rope. So after binding her son, she engaged herself in household affairs. Her idea was to discipline him, tie him to discipline, because she was concerned if he grows up misbehaving, then what will happen? It won't be good. So then, at that time, bound up to the wooden grinding water, Krishna could see a pair of trees in front of him, which are known as Arjun trees. So Krishna, the great reservoir of pleasure, thought to himself, Mother Yashoda first of all left without feeding me sufficient milk. Therefore, I broke the pot of yogurt and distributed the stock of butter in charity to the monkeys. Now she has bound me up to a wooden grinding water. So I shall do something more mischievous than before. Thus he thought of pulling down the two very tall Arjun trees. He thought, I'll go and break these trees. I'll drag that water and break the trees. Okay, so who are these trees? Okay, now I'll just speak. I don't read it long. These trees were two souls who were sons of Kuvera. Kuvera is the treasure of the demigods. So these trees were sons of Kuvera who were misbehaving in the heavenly planets. They were intoxicated, they were not wearing any clothes, and they were enjoying with other demigod female women, also unrest. So at that time, Narad Muni came, and they were intoxicated. All the women covered themselves. They did not. So Narad Muni looked at them and said that you do not deserve to be here. And you don't care that you're not wearing anything. Better you become trees. Trees lie without wearing anything. Prabhupada said actually, these people who don't wear sufficient clothing, they'll take birth as trees and stand naked for 50 years, 60, 100 years. So they took birth in this material world as trees. But because he's Narad Muni is a devotee. His idea was to benefit. So when he cursed them, he also said, he said here, because of compassion, he wanted to finish their false pride and intoxication and association with young girls, and wanted them to see Lord Krishna face to face. So he conceived of cursing them as follows. He said that the attraction for material enjoyment is to an increase of the mode of passion. A person in the material world, when favored by material opulence of riches, generally becomes addicted to three things: intoxication, gambling, and sex. Materially opulent men, being puffed up with the accumulation of wealth, also become so merciless that they indulge in killing animals. So he thought, let me curse them, but let them see Krishna face to face and get that mercy. So he did that. And so they took birth in this material world in Krishna Lila. Now those are the two same trees in front of Krishna. So Narad thereafter thought it was his duty to put these two demigods into a condition where they could not be falsely proud of their material appearance. He wanted to save them from fallen there. So he cursed them that they should remain for 100 years in the time of the demigods in the form of trees. After that, they would be fortunate enough to see the Supreme Personality of God face to face. After that, he returned to his abode. So Krishna, knowing everything, he dragged that wooden grinding mortar and broke the two huge trees, which means he killed them. So trees are living entities like us with souls. So the souls came out of the trees. And it was Nalakuvara and Manigri, the two sons of Kubera. So immediately they started to offer prayers to Krishna. And they offered some very beautiful long prayers here. That he is Supreme Personality, he is very merciful, controller of everything. When they finished their prayers, Lord Krishna, the master and proprietor of Gokul, bound to the wooden grinding mortar by the ropes of Yashoda, smiled and said, "It was already known to me that my great devotee Narad Muni had shown his causeless mercy by saving you from the abominable condition of pride due to possessing extraordinary beauty and opulence in a family of demigods. He has saved you from gliding down into a condition of hellish life. Actually, if we do sense gratification without limit, we take animal births. So Krishna said, all these facts are known to me. You are very fortunate because not only were you cursed by him, but you had the opportunity to see him. If someone's able to see a great saintly person like Narad, who is always serene and merciful, then immediately that conditioned soul becomes liberated. To see a pure devotee, we get bhakti just by seeing. Many people saw Prabhupada enjoying it. Okay, so he says, go back to your father's residence, and by remaining in the attitude of devotional service, you will be liberated in this very life. So this is a pastime of Damodara Lila, which started with Krishna, who came to his mother. Then she was going to feed him milk, then got up and went away. Then he got angry and broke the pot. Then she tried to bind him. This is Damodara Lila. Now, what is so analyzing about this, what is so special about this pastime, is that Krishna let his mother capture him. She ran, he was running, she ran and caught him and tied him up. How can the Supreme agree to be tied up? By who? Externally, a village woman, not a yogi saint, but not a normal person. She was a devotee, very devotee to Krishna. So a devotee can capture Krishna. And there's some prayers which we sing in this month called Damodara Ashtaka. 8 verses taken from Padma Purana, spoken by Satyavrata Muni. And these prayers glorify Krishna in his Damodara form. This we sing every day and offer the hill lamb to that form of Damodara. Especially this time, people go to Vrindavan. It's recommended who can go. They go there and it's called Urjavrat. They observe Urjavrat in Vrindavan, and the devotion is, as I said, the effect of their bhakti is much more than usual. It said that even at that time, even if someone is not very devoted, but he goes, then he gets liberation. Just going, not feeling, So what about if someone devoted goes? So, in this month, daily, actually, those who are Gaudiya Vaishnavas should daily worship, offer a lamp to this form and chant the prayers. In every ISKCON temple, they will do that. And any Gaudiya Vaishnavas will do that. So a facility is there in every temple for that. Here also we'll have a picture. It will be here for 1 month in the same place. And then we will keep the lamps and people can come and visit. So Urja Vrat, which is the Vrat observed in Kartik Mas, it is various things. For example, some people say we'll only eat once, some say we'll chant 32 rounds, others say we'll not, we'll wake up Brahma Muhurt. Others say we'll read whole of Krishna book. There are different vows people undertake, especially for pleasure of Krishna, because in this month, more people meditate on Krishna and his pastimes, especially Vrindavan pastimes. So this is one of the 64 methods of devotional service. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, they list 64 methods of devotional service, out of which 5 are very pradhan, main. But 64 items of devotional service, one of them is this, that the Gaudiya Vaishnavas must observe Urja Vrat and Chaturmasya, which is this 4-month period where we fast from different foods. On the last month, Kartik, it's Chaturmas is not considered complete if we don't observe Kartik Mas properly. Especially last 5 days of Kartik, it's called Bhishma Panchak. Even on those days, we will observe different things. Some say we will not have grains. I know some people have grain here. They just have fruits. On last 5 days, fruits and coconut, uncooked food. So it says that to observe Kartik Vrat is one of the main engagements of Vaishnavas. You go now, Vrindavan will be packed. Not now, 4 months ago, people booked accommodation, you cannot win. And everywhere they put off all lights and just light up everything with the lamp. It's going to be offering the lamp. Because such a great benefit accrues for this. Now, what we do, I'm going to read again from Nectar of Devotion, where they explain all this Leela, what I explained, but some other important parts of this pastime, Damodara Leela. Okay, so it says, this is a quote from Nectar of Devotion, chapter 4, devotional service surpasses all liberation. How many people read Nectar of Devotion? Okay, begin reading. Similarly, there is I'll ask you what I read last one. Pay attention. Because when you read, sometimes mind becomes talking. Similarly, there is a statement in Padma Purana describing the ritualistic function during the month of Kartik, October, November. During this month in Vrindavan, it is the regulative principle to pray daily to Lord Krishna in his Damodara form. Damodara form refers to Krishna in his childhood, when he was tied up with rope by his mother Yashoda. Dama means rope, Udara means abdomen. So Mother Yashoda, being very disturbed by naughty Krishna, bound him around the abdomen with a rope. Thus Krishna is named Damodar. During the month of Kartik, Damodar is prayed to as follows. My dear Lord, you are the Lord of all, giver of all benedictions. There are many demigods like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, who sometimes offer benedictions to their respective devotees. For example, Ravana was blessed with many benedictions by Lord Shiva. And Hiranyakashipu was blessed by Vishnu. He blessed him. No, it's Brahma. Okay. But even Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma depend upon the benedictions of Lord Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is addressed as the Lord of all benefactors. As such, Lord Krishna can offer his devotees anything they want, but still the devotee's prayer continues. I do not ask you for liberation or any material facility up to the point of liberation. What I want, as your favor, is that I may always think of your form in which I see you now as Damodar. You are so beautiful and attractive that my mind does not want anything besides this wonderful form. In this same prayer, there is another passage in which it is said, my dear Lord Damodar, once you were playing as a naughty boy in the house of Nanda Maharaj, you broke the box containing yogurt. And because of that, Mother Yashoda considered you an offender and tied you with rope to the household grinding water. At that time, you delivered two sons of Kubera, Nala Kuvara and Manipuri, who were staying there as two Arjun trees in the yard of Nanda Maharaj. My only request is that by your merciful pastime, you may similarly deliver me. Then here it's written that the story behind this verse is that the two sons of Kubera, the treasure of the gods, were puffed up on account of opulence of their father. So once on a heavenly planet, they were enjoying themselves in a lake with some naked damsels of heaven. At that time, the great saint Narad Muni was passing on the road and was sorry to see the behavior of the sons of Kubera. Seeing Narad passing by, the damsels of heaven covered their bodies with cloth, but the two sons, being drunkards, did not have this decency. Narad became angry with the behavior and cursed them thus: "You have no sense, so it's better you become trees instead of sons of Kubera." For hearing this, the boys came to their senses and begged Narad to pardon them for their offense. Narad then said, "Yes, you should become trees, Arjun trees. You will stand in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. But Krishna himself will appear in time as the foster son of Nanda, and he will deliver you." In other words, the curse of Narad was a benediction to the sons of Kubera, because indirectly it was foretold that they would be able to receive the favor of Lord Krishna. After that, Kubera's two sons stood as two big Arjun trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj, until Lord Damodara, in order to fulfill the desire of Narad, dragged the grinding water to which he was tied and struck the two trees violently, causing them to fall down. From out of the fallen trees came Nala Kuvara and Manipuri, who had then become great devotees of the Lord. Taken from chapter 4 of Nectar of Devotion. Now, what happened? What about Krishna's friends? Where were they? They were watching. Then they went to their mother, to Yashodama. What happened? He broke the tree. The Yashodama came up. Who broke the tree? What's going on? These are very big trees. How can a small 4-year-old boy, I don't know what to say, cannot break branch? So she came running on. What happened? How did these trees fall? Children, all young. He did it, Krishna, he pulled it. And then two shining light came. The people were there, they were praying to him, bowing down. Then Mother Yashoda, kids, what are they talking about? Who did it? Must be some demon in it. How can a boy break the tree? So she had no clue. So that's the pastime. In this pastime, as I mentioned, it's analyzing this song, Damodara Ashtak, 8 verses. Those 8 verses, it speaks very deeply about Prema Bhakti. Prema Bhakti is Bhakti, there's Bhakti in Aishwarya Bhav, like worshiping God as some great personality, and I am very small, I am his servant. Another way is to worship God is a friend, a lover, a son. So Krishna is very much fond of people who worship in this mood. And that's the wording of this prayer, Damodara. Okay. So now, let's look at some of the observances prescribed. No, before that. Glories of lamp offerings from different scriptures. Glories of offering a ghee lamp to Krishna in Damodara Masa to the form of Lord Damodara. When one offers a lamp during the month of Kartik, his sins in many thousands and millions of births perish in half of an eye blink. You know how long that is. Please hear the glories of offering a lamp during Kartik, which is pleasing to Lord Keshav. O King of Brahmanas, a person who offers a lamp in this way will not take birth again in this world. Month of Kartik, offering a lamp. By offering a lamp during the month of Kartik, one attains a pious result 10 million times greater than the result obtained by bathing at Kurukshetra during a solar eclipse, or by bathing in the river Narmada during a lunar eclipse. Another quote. O tiger among Sridhars, for a person who thus offers a lamp burning with ghee or sesame oil, what is the use of performing Ashwamedha? It's greater than that. Another quote, even if there are no mantras, no pious deeds, and no purity, everything becomes perfect when a person offers a lamp during the month of Kartik. A person who during the month of Kartik offers a lamb to Lord Kesha has already performed all your tirth and paid in all holy rituals. Next one. A person who offers a lamb to Lord Krishna during Kartik attains the eternal spiritual world where there is no sin. O King of Brahmins, when someone offers him a lamb on the full moon day of the month of Kartik, Lord Krishna, finding that he does not have sufficient money to repay that gift, gives himself in exchange for that lamb. All results acquired by donating grains during Pitru Paksha or by distributing water in the hot month of Jyeshtha or Ashad are easily gained in the course of Kartik merely by reviving a deed offered by someone else. That means someone's offering a lamp, it goes off and you light it. This is a great form of devotion. The ancestors say, when somebody in our family pleases Lord Keshav by offering to him a lamb during the month of Kartik, then by the mercy of the Lord, who holds the Sudarshan Chakra in his hand, we will all attain liberation. Previous generations of liberation. O Narada, no sin exists anywhere in the three worlds that will not be purified by offering a lamb to Lord Keshav during Kartik. Okay, last section here. In Hari Bhakti Vilas and Skanda Purana, a lot is mentioned about Kartik. Okay, they took out some verses. Here it is. What to do in the month of Kartik? Not all of these are practiced in ISKCON. It's very much devotion oriented. The things which evoke bhakti, that's more focused on. Anyway, rise at Brahma Muhurta, attend Mangal Arati. And in this period, anyone who does this every day in Kartik attains the spiritual world. Offer incense, ghee lamp, and flowers. Which flowers? Malati, lotus, rose, jasmine, and lily. And camphor lamp 3 times a day. This should be discussed. Daily ghee lamp to Radha Damodara and singing of Damodara. Maintain Akhand ghee lamp before the deity or base of Tulasi or hang it in the sky. Such people attain the spiritual world. Just by offering a ghee lamp to Sri Krishna, one attains perfection and goes back to God. Offer sweet rice mixed with ghee, tasty food, and varieties of fruits. Mandir parikram 4 times daily while reciting their prayers. Offer water and prasad to ancestors. Offer camphor lamp with a guru oil, especially on Ekadashi. Offer camphor lamp with a guru oil on Ekadashi, then we will not take birth again. Offer fresh flower garlands, rose or lotus, and sandalwood paste. Offer new clothes to the deities. Offer 1 lakh tulsi leaves to Krishna. Daily offer incense, ghee lamp, and flowers to Tulsi, circumambulate. Relight another person's lamp. No, it's not. Okay, so these are the practices and observances to Kartik. If you relight another person's lamp they are offering, then it says you attain unlimited merit and don't see Yamaraj. Offer water to the moon, offer floating ghee lamp. Enthusiastically dance, sing, and play musical instruments. For that you have to know how to do. And recite prayers before the deity. Then you attain the world, spiritual world with your ancestors all together. These are glories of Kartik Masa. As we said, this is our main anga of bhakti. So at this time, all ISKCON temples, Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they will every evening have these offerings, and so will we. You're free to come every day. I recommend you come every day and offer them. It will not take long. Okay, and we at a certain time we're going to see Damodara Shtak, and you come and sit. Who can? I'm speaking, but you're obviously. But once a year or once a lifetime, get this benefit. So we'll be singing Damodara Shtak. You can join, and you can offer a lamp. Okay. Now we're going to finish by looking at that song translation. If I can find it. Okay, so this 8 verse song is found in Padma Purana, spoken by Satyavrata Muni in a conversation with Narad Muni and Shona Rishi. So, actually, we will not read anything because no, it's 8 verses. I think we can do it next Saturday. Okay. Or gradually when we have programs, even tomorrow. Okay, so all right. I think we'll stop here. Shri Damodara Masa ki jai. Question.
Yeah, Prabhu, we offer a lamp.
Yeah.
So it is said that 4 circles we offer on this 4 circles on feet, 2 circles on belly, and 3 circles on head, and 7 on foot. So what is this numbers?
The whole system of Archan is given in Narad Panchara. There, Narad Muni spoke in 5 nights, Pancha, Ratra, how to perform worship. So it's given there. Right? There's no, just like why we offer the land, why we offer irrigation, why we offer water. This is the system of honoring someone, great personality, and who's greater. So there's no, at least I don't know of them, special. It's not an act of devotion. And people who train and became pujaris before. Same thing. Okay. Hare Krishna. Shri Damodara Masa ki